Okay.
Then there's this, this mass of the silent black middle class that I think is intimidated. I think they're very intimidated politically and perhaps even economically. They're just intimidated because, when the ones who receive social grants, and I'm not talking about old people and disabled people, because old people, disabled people, and orphans, that's the only grouping that really is entitled.
You believe?
I believe old people also who have worked, but up to this point, let's say all old people. I would put my mother and my father. My parents worked for decades,
Sure.
yeah, and they worked for decades in South Africa. So they definitely, in fact, they are actually. I actually believe that the old pension grant should be higher if you've worked.
I hear you.
And contributed towards pay as you earn. You should be getting at least double that money. It shouldn't be the same, considering your contribution towards building the country.
So I need to other people counter argue that you should have had a pension fund, but it's
you have it. No, you see, the apartheid government had much better, almost everything, right? Because that was a consideration
that you've worked. Therefore,
I think
your pension should be a certain.
Yeah, there's something I just don't have. I don't want to talk on something I'm not too sure of, but there was obviously one. They'll talk about the tax break, but you don't get a tax break from your pension now. You're actually taxed more. You're actually punished. It's very punitive. South Africa's, our relationship with government is very dysfunctional. Like we're slaves to the government. We're literally slaves to the government. At the private sector, I was talking about my MTN contract just now. I have a right to emotionally blackmail them and say, hey, I've been with you for 10 years. You need to give me a discount. You need to give me something. You know what I mean? Government, you can't. They just literally tax you to death. And loot your money and waste it and employ people in the government who don't have half your qualifications, half your skills, who don't have any credentials. A lot of them got in there because of, again, the comrade, some entitlement, some kind of abuse. No, I'm black, I'm poor. I didn't get to have a swimming pool. I didn't get to go to a river. Therefore, I must get everything for free and we must abuse.
You didn't get to go to a river.
I don't know, like this.
Please continue.
So you're basically distracting me. I was coming to the point, Yoguti. The reason Abu Masipala Betu are in this stalemate situation, where you get to a municipality, we read an article like this, and it's like, who's going to do what about this situation? You know what I mean? Nobody wants to say anything. It's only the people who are running maybe big businesses like farms and stuff like that who feel the pinch because, a lot of, they're basically the ratepayers. And the money and the rates that they are paying are not enough for everyone. Because that's the whole idea. It's like a stokvel. I think it's better when we explain it like that. I think people will understand it better like that. A municipality is nothing but just a sophisticated stokvel governed by certain financial regulations and all sorts of statutory laws and bylaws and all sorts of things, right? Where we all put money together into a pot and then we must look after this asset called our town, but from a point of view of public benefit, for public benefit. So everything that we use together, right? It's common property, like our streets, if we have swimming pools, if we have sporting facilities, if we have public schools, if we have clinics, anything really that belongs, to the municipality. And then of course there'll be other public facilities in every municipality that belong to national government or that belong to provincial government, right? There's lots of assets that belong to provincial and national government it's located within the municipality. So those are supposed to be taken care of by the person who owns it, like anything else. I mean, if you own a house, it's your responsibility to maintain the house, to make sure every 5 years you fix the plumbing, you fix the electrical wiring, you do this and that, the roofing, blah, blah, blah. But it's so dysfunctional in South Africa because we don't have these conversations. This silent black middle class is suffering literally in silence together with the rest of the ratepayers, because 9 out of 10 times they'll be living in a house that needs to pay rates and taxes, right? Or they'll have a business that obviously has to pay rates and taxes, but they are disengaged. I mean, we wait for AfriForum and DA and then we accuse them of being racist. And I'm not sure like what that is all about, right? I mean, I don't know if race relations in South Africa are still as bad as they were 20 years ago.
That's silent. Sorry, just my opinion. I think that silent black middle class agrees with some of the work they do. They just keep quiet. You won't see them on social media.
But why? Because it's like, if you keep on doing that, all your government is going to do is continue abusing you. And you know this. I mean, most abuse comes from your family. As a human being, right? Just as generally as a human being, majority of our human being, our childhood traumas and all these things that we start complaining about from the age of 40 going up, they really came from a very intimate background, which is really your family. And then secondary will be community and all of that. So as the black middle class, to keep on protecting black public representatives or political parties because you are ashamed that abantu bazok-accusa ukuthi you are racist, but you're paying for this abuse. They're abusing you and they're making you pay. Like I said, I mean, we're going to be charged 37,000 rand if you even have that kind of money, per person who earns money, enough money to pay as you earn, to pay personal income taxes. We're going to be charged 37,000 rands more over and above the fact that your favorite president, and I don't want to mention his name, your best friend's dad, just before he left government, he put in place, what is it? That ZEP. To allow Zimbabweans to work here. He did that.
Oh, the exemption.
He did it twice. He renewed it in 2014 to allow, in a country that had massive unemployment, pushed for ZEP. That guy. Secondly, the same guy increased our taxes by 7.7% to 15%, right? So the longer you keep quiet, the longer you sit back, the more you get abused. Those who have been politically mobilized and made to feel comfortable about an ongoing, never-ending complaint about, we were black. But the point I'm making is that this black middle class that has worked equally as hard as other population groupings to build South Africa privately, right? They are suffering the consequences that the so-called middle class and upper classes are suffering, but they are also, 9 out of 10 times a person who ends up making a lot of money and becomes rich was very poor at some point and was propelled by the conditions of their poverty to pull themselves by the bootstraps. I'm talking about honest business people, not criminals. And had to sacrifice a lot, to make their money, but they keep quiet. I also have a right to demand free. In fact, I think there's a political and even constitutional, maybe justification, if I can use a bad word. I think there should be a constitutional justification for all of us as black people to demand not to pay anything anymore on the same grounds as the rest of the black population. Is citing as their reasons to receive all sorts of grants, live in a state house for free, not pay rates and taxes, breach electricity power line. We have a right to do that on the same basis because I'm also black. I'm female. I've never been married. I don't have a man who has ever contributed to my income.
You're saying the black middle class should have a constitutional justification.
Yes.
To be like, we don't want to pay tax anymore because we also come from the same poverty as the people getting grants.
The masses, as they're often referred to, which I find very insulting to call people masses. It's a complete insult. What is their what are their grounds for boycotting, for not paying for stuff?
They're poor and they don't have jobs and they're black.
It's previously disadvantaged.
And you're saying we're also previously disadvantaged.
Yeah, of course we are previously disadvantaged.
Therefore, can I not pay tax because I'm also previously disadvantaged?
Unless we put a date to the word previous.
Then everyone expires.
We say, okay, if you are disadvantaged from this date or back, then you are previously disadvantaged. So
what would be a good expiry date? Let's say from 1994,
if we had to have a
50 years? 50 years. We're giving you 50 years to say from now on there are no more previously disadvantaged.
20 years from now. April 2024, we count 20 years and then
let's say
there must be an expiry.
So I'm saying from 94, the democracy, Rainbow Nation.
Yeah.
And we say 50 years from that point, we'll say we all had enough time to do something. From here on, there's no more previously disadvantaged.
There must be an expiry date to all of this crap because
yeah.
Look, okay, let's go back.
The darkies are not going to like you.